Casual Magic has been sponsored by Quiver, maker of the Quiver and Bolt deck cases and other fine deck holding accessories. Use the code CASUAL on their website for 10% off your order. You can also support Casual Magic directly by going to our Patreon at patreon.com/ShivamB. And now, on with the show. Hello and welcome to Casual Magic, the show where we talk about the fun side of Magic the Gathering. My name is Shivam, Bhatt, and Casual Magic is brought to you by Quiver and my patron to patreon.com/ShivamB. And today I am very, very excited to have one of the few other brown dudes in Magic. A dear friend of mine going back many, many, many years, and certainly one of the stalwarts of the Cube community, my man Usman. How's it going, buddy? It's
Doing good.
I mean, we've tried to do this once before, and it didn't work out for any number of reasons. But I'm really glad to have you back before I wrap up the show.
Yeah, totally. I remember when you said like you were going to wrap it up. I was like, yeah, I really want to get that one on the books because the other one, like audio issue, I forget what happened, but
yeah, it just the file got corrupted and stuff. Oh, and I guess I have not mentioned it on the show proper, but folks, this show is this is like 336 or something. I don't know, whatever episode number. I am planning on calling it a day for Casual Magic when I get to episode 350, plus or minus, give or take it, depending on how I'm feeling. Because the show's been running for 6 years. I've gotten to talk to everybody more or less I want to talk to. I've accomplished everything I want to accomplish with the show. And I have a lot of things going on in my life. So something had to give. And this show, I feel, has served its purpose. So I'm going to roll it out and end on my own terms and call it a day at 350. So thank you all for joining me on this 6 years or so of content. But we're not done yet. We've still got like a good, I don't know, 15, 20 episodes or whatever left. In the meantime, though, I wanted to have you on today because of the fact that my favorite way to play Magic when I'm not playing Chaos Draft or Commander is Cube. And frankly, Cube has been moving higher and higher and higher up my list. I was thinking about that. I was talking to Wheeler about this, that the most money I end up spending on Magic Arena is when Cube season comes out, because that's when I sit and just start like chain smoking Cube drafts.
It's like 1,500 gems. Let's go.
And it's just like, once you get that hook in of you're like, oh, turn one channel Emrakul, let's go. You know, it's the greatest feeling in the world. And then they put down a friggin' Caracas and your whole life is ruined. And just, God, that's...
You get to skip a turn and then, or whatever. It's definitely like interesting how the arc of Cube has gone. And like, I'd been seeing that on Blue Sky when you've been posting about just like Cube and then you getting into it. I'm like, yeah, we definitely need to record again now that since the bug has bitten you.
Oh God, dude. Even when we talked last time, I loved Cube, but like people give Arena a lot of crap, but putting Cube on Arena has been one of the coolest things they've ever done. I mean, I realize Magic Online, yes, it's a home of Cube. That's the whole point, et cetera, et cetera. But dude, real talk, most Magic players use Arena these days, and putting Cube on Arena is so fantastic, because then even the kids deserve to have a Lotus in their life, right? Like, people deserve to understand why Ancestral Recall is the most... Okay, actually, I have a question for you, because this came up in a draft I had. It was literally Ancestral Recall and Soul Ring and then like 12 other cards. What do you take?
Probably Soul Ring, just because it keeps you open. Like, I don't know, like, it's interesting now because we have 17 lands data. Mm-hmm. And that whole discourse, like that whole thing, because that was...
Has 17 Land started doing stuff for Cube too?
Yeah, they started in the beginning. Like,
crazy.
The discourse was very interesting because, like, in the very beginning, like Boros was pretty overpowered. And so the discourse became like, oh, Boros is OP in Cube. And then that whole discourse happened, and I think they cut it down. I think Zach Barish has been doing a good job with that on the Arena Cube, just kind of balancing things out. But yeah, it's getting access to that data is really interesting because it's like you can start to see it's like what card is better. It's like, granted, like there are of course issues with just like I'll outsource this to 17 lands. It's like, what's better? It's like, oh, this has 0.3% or whatever, but it's like,
God, dude.
Yeah. And it's just reductionist, but it's like sometimes it's useful to be like, I have no idea honestly what the best card is out of those two, but I tend to like Soul Ring more to just keep things open.
Mm.
But
Like, I mean, the thing is, every time I talk to a cube person about this, I get a different answer.
yeah, it's one of those like it's an ink blot test. Like I always feel like because we'd used to, I used to have a cube podcast called sorry, it was called The Third Power, and we ripped it off of limited resources. Full
Mm.
full disclosure, when they used to do a crack a pack, and we did the same thing because I pretty much wore the influence on my sleeve.
Look, limited resources didn't invent the crack a pack, and we are all in its debt for any number of reasons. So don't feel bad about that.
Yeah. And it was funny, like whenever we'd use my cube, sometimes we would just because it was powered at the time, and it was just like, okay, I guess you take this. And sometimes we'd just like do a mulligan on that card. It's like, okay, pretend the Black Lotus isn't there, but instead you have I don't know, Batter Skull or something, or whatever card like a Condemn or something. But it's really interesting seeing how Cube started, like kind of. It was very underground, like very in the beginning. A lot of it was.
When did you start with cubing? How did you find the idea of cubing in the first place?
So I started with Cube around 2007. I think I'd kind of heard about it vaguely a little bit. There was an episode of the Magic Show, which is like a popular kind of, I guess like a variety show is probably the best way to put it. But it's, kind of like a news channel where they did
with
like
like
the
Evan
news.
Irwin and friends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Evan Irwin, he did an episode talking about Cube and just kind of saying essentially how cool Cube was. And I thought it was really interesting. And it was around 2007 when that episode came out, and that kind of bit the bug for me. And then I think I built my first cube around like in that era. I remember going with my family, with my parents to a family trip and like taking like a notepad and just like trying to scribble down what I would want to do for a cube. And like this was like 2008 or so. And I remember
Yeah.
buying a bunch of sleeves because like a store was having a sale. Like if you said like I voted and you had the sticker, they would give you 10% off your order. So I was like, I'm buying all my cube sleeves from this. And this got a huge discount. I'm like, yeah, there we go. But I think that's what started it for me. And it was difficult for me in the beginning to try to get people to cube. Probably because my charisma score was not particularly great. And I would argue that it still probably isn't. But it's like, a lot of people didn't know what cube was, and you were having to like sell people on what cube was. Like, you would tell people and they're like, I was like, this is stupid. And then
yeah, like cube, like when you think about it, cube is like, so wait, you're just making your own magic set? What, why? What's the point, right? And then you're like, but I mean, the thing is, every time somebody sold me on cube is like, yo, so we can play Black Lotus. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I'm in.
Yeah.
Because like I remember talking to Tom Lapilli, and he was talking about how he was one of the early progenitors of cubing, and like, just the idea of it feels like cube scratches like multiple itches, like from the design perspective of like, I want to take my favorite draft archetypes and put them into a box and be able to play them, or I want to see if I could make a better set than Magic could out of these collected cards, or I want to play all the coolest cards that have ever been printed, and I'm tired of them going away.
Yeah.
Like it is the eternal format.
It really is. And I think if I didn't get so much into cube, I probably would have gotten into Commander. But it's just, they kind of have
a similar itch.
Yeah, it's a very similar itch in terms of like self-expression. I think cube is a lot of self-expression, especially when you're designing a cube. I think that's a big part of that, is looking to like, why should someone care about what I'm doing? Because I think part of it is just like, there tends to be a lot of assumptions people sometimes make about like what a vintage cube is. And like, even then there's still like, there's some like pillars within it, like, just like obviously power and things like that. But it's like, there's still a lot of wiggle room. And sometimes that can be lost in terms of discussion.
Like what?
So I would say a lot of it is with like archetypes and like what you can do. For example, I think like a lot of assumptions, and sometimes that can happen in like cube discussion, especially with like people who are very deep in the weeds, like designer wise, like looking in terms of just like in the very beginning and, history lesson of, just like cube. It's just like, it started like, I actually found out it started with Patrick Chapin.
Really?
Yeah. He made the first cube. Yeah. It was called like Chapin drafts, but he was pretty much doing it back in like the late 90s. We did a podcast episode where I interviewed him about it, which was really interesting. I'd meant to do it for a long time. It was kind of similar, where it's just like, hadn't heard from him for years. I was kind of independently doing the study of like the history of Cube, and like we kind of like we had a thread like via email, and then it kind of trailed off, and then I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna try it again, whatever. And then he's like, yeah, I'd be down. And then I was like, wait,
I
what?
ran into him in Vegas, and he looked like a wild hermit with like long hair and a scraggly beard. And I was like, man, Chapin used to be like one of the sharpest dressed dudes on the Pro Tour.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It was
man.
really funny. Like a lot of Cube, like I guess Cube kind of started like in earnest around like 2020 or 2002 2001 ish in like Ontario, Canada. But a lot of it was still just kind of like dudes coming up with ideas like what the best card, like what were the best limited cards, and like shoving them in a box and drafting them. And then a lot of the writing that I did in terms of Cube, because I started writing about Cube in 2010. That's when I did my first article, and like I really wanted to explore.
Yeah, that's how I discovered you, because I started reading like your Cube articles way back when I first got into Magic, or got into Magic the second time actively.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it was like I started writing about it because like there were a lot of discussions going on forums like the MTG Salvation forums, where a lot of like they were kind of exploring what to do like within. It wasn't just like a box of cards, but just kind of exploring things like that. And I was just like, so like to answer the question earlier about like things you can do is just like actively designing things like just like including more aggressive drops, because that was always the thing. Like when I started playing Magic, because I started playing Magic in 1995, and I was always like a white weenie player. I was just like Icatian Javelineers. I didn't want to shell out for Savannah Lions. I was just like using like
you didn't want to shell out for
they were rares. I didn't want to so I was like, I'll just use these like Icatian Javelineers and just these pikemen and stuff like that. It's just, but it worked out well enough. And then, but I that kind of stuck with me, being an aggressive player, and like that's the thing I noticed in Cubes, were just like aggressive decks were terrible. They were just an afterthought. I'm just like, what do you do? And then it's like you and it sounds a little silly in retrospect, just like you put in the work to put in more aggressive drops, which sounds kind of basic. It's right. It's like,
right.
If you just have your Jackal Pup, it's like your one drop and that's it. And red's like, yeah, your aggressive decks are gonna be terrible. But like it was that kind of stuff that kind of led me to, because that was the thing. Like also when I started cubing, like a lot of it was like I would it was like pulling teeth trying to get people to cube, and it was just like just like, hey, do people want to cube? And it's like getting nothing. I'm just like, there was a group in where I'm at where we were trying to cube, or I was trying to get with them, but it's like I wasn't part of the cool kids. I'm just like, whatever, I'm just gonna do this myself. So I'm just gonna design my own cube. And like it's one of those butterfly moment things where it's like, if I probably would have just been a cube drafter and not gotten into the whole cube design thing, where it's like, whatever. Like I'm into I'm big into like metal and the big like thrash metal ethos of just like DIY. I was just like, I'm just doing this myself.
I mean, look, dude, if nobody else is going to, you might as well, right?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing. I just enjoy whenever you post going to metal shows, because I'm like, I love that band too. Yay.
I remember when I went to the Emperor, I remember you commented, I'm like, yeah.
Okay, dog. I don't know how you managed to go to, like, when I went to Emperor 25 years ago or whatever, it was all skinheads and me, one skinny brown dude. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I'm not in the right show.
I guess it changed. Like, I didn't really notice. I'm usually pretty good about, of course, for self-preservation. But I was just like, yeah, it was pretty, I didn't really feel bad vibes or anything. I was just like, yeah, I was like second to front row. And then I was just like, let's go. And then like I think there was like a couple there in the front, and then they decided to leave, and I was like, yoink. I'm just like right there front row. And like there was like some, I say kid probably like person in like their 20s or something, just headbanging to like I'm the Black Wizards. I'm like, yeah, let's go, and just headbang in the same way. It was just so cool.
Yeah, but anyways, getting back to Cube though, because like now I'm distracted. The thing is like, what I've always enjoyed about cubing has definitely been the art of taking your favorite things that you like doing and finding ways to weave in new cards that still let you play those same archetypes. It's in the sense of like when Modern came out, Modern was pitched as the idea of like, take your favorite standard deck, add a couple of cards, and boom, here's a place you can play it. And real talk, that's not true. But in Cube, at least, I can be like, I want to make a cube based around like Dominaria United's like domain format. And you can totally do that and then build a whole like cube around that, or like build the, like, I remember I had a, like, one of my favorite brainstorming things when I'm getting bored is like, what are the 10 archetypes I would put into a cube and how could I interweave them in a way that makes them actually work?
Yeah.
Because like building a commander deck is pretty easy. It's 100 cards or whatever. I can put it together, no problem. Building a 600 card cube is real hard.
Yeah, it can be pretty intimidating. Like I was a guest at CubeCon in 2024 and 2025. I did a panel about what's called like building a cube for dummies because I mean that's what I was invited to do. So I was like, all right. But a lot of it, I think it was kind of like when I started, a lot of it was just like this big undertaking, and it's being like kind of just looking at the thing I always think about, and it's probably dating me, but I mean, I probably am dating myself anyway. Like, do you remember in Ninja Gaiden 1 for the NES?
I do.
I forget which level it is, but it's like a certain part where it's like Ryu is like on this little mountain, this little hill, and he's looking at this castle in the forefront, and this is like ginormous, and he's like looking at it.
That's like the intro movie in Ninja Gaiden.
Yeah. I always think of that whenever I think of like what it's like sometimes for starting a cube, where it's like movies. I'm just seeing this is like, oh man,
that is such a perfect image. I love that.
Yeah.
First off, most cinematic game ever made in 1987 or something.
Yeah.
But second off, you're exactly right, because you're just sitting staring at this big pile, and you're like, oh boy, how do I climb that?
Yeah, it can be difficult. Like the thing I tried to do in that panel, and I can link to it too. I can send it to you in the show notes. But one of the things I remember trying to do is just like breaking it down, which sounds again very cliched. It's just like trying to break down what you're trying to do. I think part of it for me is just like wanting to know what games look like. Like again, that can be something that's very malleable, and I think sometimes it's just where people tend to think that things can't change, which I guess goes to the first point I was talking about in terms of cube design. It's like they think like, okay, I have to have, I'm trying to think like however many lands, like say a 600 card cube or something. It's like I have to have 120 lands and I can't move from there. And it's like that you don't really have to. It's like very malleable. You can just do whatever, and it's just, you have all this you have a lot of wiggle room, and it's just like I feel like sometimes people tend to do kind of very kind of status quo-y kind of stuff, where it's just like I'll cut this card for this card. I don't know. I feel like that probably happens in Commander. Like
all the time.
I feel like I feel like I've been kind of like vaguely within like Commander discourse, from just like I'm kind of vaguely aware of what's going on. Like I still don't know what the brackets are.
The thing about Commander is that Commander and Cube share a lot of similarities in the way that we build decks and build ideas, because like every Commander deck is built by an author who is trying to get their like ideology out there in the form of this deck. And there's people who will go out there and be like, I just want to play the powered cube. I'm going to copy that and play that, and we're going to do it. Or there are people who are like, I am going to build this entirely wacky cube of all uncommons, or a cube based around like conspiracies or whatever. And they want to have like a very, or like the 100 Ornithopters cube or whatever it is, right? Like they've got like a vision, and they want to inflict that upon the other players. And I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying like some Commander players, some like Cube players are like, you don't get it. I've got this really cool idea and I need you to play it with me. And it's cool. It's awesome. And that's like one of the best expressions of creativity you can have out of Magic, is like, oh, I can go and just do the thing I want and grab other people and they'll play and it'll be cool. And if it doesn't work, I'll know. And then we could go back and tinker with it again.
Yeah. It's just a lot like, I kind of think about it, and it's something where it's like kind of like cooking for somebody. It's like cooking for a group of people. And it's like, in Desi culture, it's like a big thing of you just like hospitality and cooking for people. It's like that same kind of thing where it's just like
exactly. And you're like, I want you to enjoy this thing I'm doing. And if you don't enjoy it, I need to know exactly what I did wrong. Yeah. And then you're also never invited to my house again. Like one of the things I've been tossing around, I want to build a cube based around Chandelure, the old PC game. And I want to build it based around the idea of having like the most insane like mono ramp you can imagine, ramping into the worst garbage you've ever played.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of funny, like when you talk to like modern players about just like early Magic, and it's like, oh, just play the broken stuff, and it's like you the threats weren't very good. Like if you're not doing if you're not doing like super broken stuff, like Chandelure always seemed interesting to me. Like the vibe I thought was really cool, being like an open, like an RPG, and like
right.
I've
I love the
tried.
yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I tried Forge, which is kind of like the spiritual successor, but like I don't know, maybe it's just I feel like when I tried it, I'm just like this could get dangerous. I could get addicted to this way too quickly, and I'm just like, but I was just like, it didn't also quite have the same vibe for me as Chandelar did. Like with Chandelar, you start with like a really bad deck, just like you don't even have matching basics,
Mm,
and then you're slowly building up, and it kind of simulates what it's like when you're starting playing Magic, and it's like,
yes.
and then like you reach a point where it's like you have like really bad deck, but you still have to like find like decent fair threats to win the game because you're not quite at broken deck level yet. You're not like contract whatever
Yeah.
drain. You don't have like this really broken stuff. It's like I got to win with a Sengir Vampire, but it's like you don't have Sengir Vampire yet. You got
No, you got like friggin' some imp or something.
yeah,
You're
scathed zombies.
Hell yeah, let's go 2-2 for 3.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I loved about Chandelar is you're sitting there and you're like, I've got 2 Moxes. Oh yeah, what are you playing with those 2 Moxes? Uthden Troll.
Yeah, prodigal
Like,
sorcerer.
Yeah, I mean, you can do all of this broken, like you've got all these broken cards, but your payoffs are terrible. And if you find like the one Sarah Angel or Shivan Dragon, you are just holding that card for, I mean, so for those guys who don't know, or you might be too young to remember Chandelar, it was a game put out by Microprose, the last game Sid Meier made before he left for Firaxis. And what happened is this is a game based on the original idea of Magic, where you're like, you've got a pile of cards in your starter deck. You play other monsters and stuff for ante. You get one card out of their deck, and then you add it to your pile. And like your pile is just a mishmash of garbage, multiple colors and everything. And eventually, over time, you sculpt it into an actual deck. You don't even start with the full 60 cards. You start with like 30 or so. And like you want basic lands, you got to buy them or find them or fight people for them. And it is so amazing because like you're sitting there and every time you run into an encounter, it becomes a Magic game. You flip a coin and then you've got cards that go up for ante. And hey, dude, if your Mox is on ante and the other guy's got a Llanowar Elves, that's just the way it breaks.
And it's like if you had power or something, that's always going to be your ante. Like,
oh yeah,
randomization is like Mox
like
Gen. It's like yes, it's like, and they give up like a woolly Thoktar.
Flying
sprites or something.
Yeah, it's like what is it? The Bird Woman, Bird Maiden from
Arabian Bird Maiden. Yeah, 3 mana for 1/2.
It's like you learned the value on Urg Raiders real quickly.
Yeah. And that's one of the things like I always find funny, like when talking to like people designing cubes now or just like in the cube world now, where it's like they'll look back at like early cube design and they'll be like, oh, why they, just like, oh, like they're thinking of it in the contemporary and not just like what was available back then. And it's kind of similar to Chandelar. It's like, oh, these cards are terrible. Why don't you just play good cards? It's like, because you don't have good cards. You have garbage.
It's not about playing the good cards. It's about playing the cards you have.
Yeah.
Right. And then playing the cards that are fun. Like, I think that's the thing I like about Cube is that like you can sit there and like, for instance, one of my all time favorite cards is Simic Sky Swallower, right? Mm-hmm. Like the 5/6, it's a 6/6 flying trample with Shroud.
Yep.
It used to be an all-star in like Commander and other things. And nowadays it's just slow and bulky and doesn't really do much, and I don't care. But like in Cube, I can build a cube where this card is still going to be a thing where you're like, hell yeah, this is going to be the finisher for my Simic deck, and it feels great. Yeah. And like Cube is frozen in time wherever you want. And I think the thing that gives Cube a step above EDH is that everybody else's deck in EDH, they're going to upgrade or do whatever they want to with. A cube is always going to be at the power level you leave it at. So like if you're like, because I build decks in Commander all the time where I'm like, oh man, I love these cards and I can't wait to play them. And you go and you just get skull cracked when you sit down at the table. Whereas over here, I can just put them in a cube and I'll be like, let's draft these cards and they're going to be as good as they're going to be. And everybody's playing the same pile of cards. So who cares?
Yeah, it's always interesting. Like, I feel like, because like also what I do is like do cube reviews, but like one of the things I've always tried to do is like get in real world reps in with cards, but like with the before the set comes out, like usually I'll do like just like try to get in some reps in, and then usually over the weekend what I've been trying to do is like a couple drafts in and then try stuff out. But then it's just like here's this new, and like I can totally see where that can get burning out. It hasn't for me yet. Like I haven't been burned out yet by the cycle, but I wonder if it will. Just like
Mhm.
new set, new set, new set. I'm like usually just like, oh yeah, this new set just came out. Oh yeah, I got to get this new article out, and it's just like. And I think sometimes where people design cubes, it's yeah, you don't necessarily have to be always keeping up with the Joneses because yeah, it can be difficult to do, especially if it's just like I want to try this new card out, and it's like this card I have right now on my desk, Redshift, whatever, Redshift, Rocketeer Thief, Chief,
What is
Chief. It's this
is that
guy.
from? That's from.
It's from Etherborn, or yeah,
Etherborn. Yeah,
I was gonna say
Ether,
Etherdrift, Etherborn,
Ether Drift.
whatever. Etherdrift, yeah. It's like I tried it out, I liked it in my cube, and it's just like I have this card here, and I'm just like I don't know if I have room for it now, but it's just like it probably wouldn't be surprising if it just like rotated in and then rotated out after 6 months, just because I want to constantly keep up with new stuff. But it's like I also don't have to do that. I'm kind of in a weird situation because of content creation, where I'm just like doing that anyway, even though I don't have like. There's like Cube Cobra where you upload cubes, and like my Cube Cobra list is notoriously out of date because it just takes a lot of time to do it, and
It's
I'm lazy.
so many cards to change.
Yeah, I'm just like look at it and just like it's that Ninja Gaiden scene again, where it's just like, where it's like, man, how many cards are in my cube now? Like I
Oh
recently
god.
did an audit of my tokens, just like seeing a bunch of tokens that are in here, just like well, I don't play Garrick Relentless anymore, so I don't need this Death Touch Wolf anymore. It's just like did that yesterday, and it's like, yep, got to do that. But
Oh man.
yeah,
So if you were going to start a cube from scratch today, like if you had a new theme or something, do you have like a set of cards that you just consider like these are like the skeleton that I'm going to build around, or do you always start from scratch?
I always start from scratch. It usually it's kind of funny. Like when I built cubes before, like sometimes I'll try to actively not look at resources when I do it.
Mm.
And I'm just like, I'll try this out. And it's like, as an exercise, I'll be like, oh, I forgot to put Muldrifter in this peasant cube. I should probably do that. It's like, but I'll just forget, just isn't in top of mind, just like when I'm brainstorming
Right.
cards, it's like this. It's like, oh, yeah, I didn't put this in there. Sometimes the way it was back in the day when I was starting my cube, which makes me sound old because I am, just like there weren't many cube lists at the time.
Mm.
And the way I always tend to think of cube is kind of like whenever I look at a recipe, I tend to just look at several and just kind of think of like, what works. Like I did a recipe it's actually earlier today. It was just like making agua de Jamaica, it's like hibiscus tea.
Yes.
And I was just like, I'm going to look at several different things to find out. It's like, okay, in common ingredient 1, hibiscus. Yeah, that's easy. And
Sure.
then water. It's like, okay. And then looking at various ones, it's like, okay, some have cinnamon, some have orange peel, some have ginger, some have like clove. And I was just like, all right, what sounds good to me? I'm just like, all right, pull from these various resources. I'm like, okay, I'll add cinnamon, I'll add ginger, and then I'll sweeten it separately. Like I'll use like a simple syrup or something, which is I did that and then made a simple syrup with like habanero and clove and some of that like other stuff to
For
see if it worked.
Jamaica?
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's a I haven't tried it, but like it's also an experiment.
Yeah, it sure is, buddy.
If it's terrible, it's like I'm giving it to a friend anyway. It's like it's your problem now if this is bad. But it's for the side, like it's syrup on the side, just to sweeten it up with later.
I would not put jalapeno syrup into Jamaica, but okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, like because that's one of the things I've always found daunting about cube is like I don't know how to like it feels so overwhelming.
Yeah. I do think like sometimes for me it's like I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm a creature of habit of just like looking at a bunch of lists. If I was to do it now, like there's a cube that I created for Wizards of the Coast for Magic Online. It was based on the plane of Ravnica, and there weren't a lot at the time. There still aren't really many, but I remember I was thinking like, man, my old trick isn't really going to work. Like I saw some, but I'm like, these aren't really doing anything for me. It's like it has just a bunch of Ravnica cards, but I'm like, these aren't really doing anything for me. So like, I'm pretty much just doing this from scratch at this point. It was kind of like looking at my options. The way I tend to do it, like the way I talked about in my panel, was just like looking at what options there are and kind of like put a bunch of stuff in your house. It's kind of like that, and then you just kind of look at what options there are. Like you say you build like you buy a couch or something, and then you have like a bunch of other stuff, and I'm just like, yeah, there's just way too much stuff in here. how do I pare all this down so that everything makes sense?
Hmm.
And then sculpt it down. That's the way I tend to do it. I don't know if many other people do, but it's like I tend to just build up and then sculpt down to archetypes. Like I've never really been a big fan of just like exact color pairs. I've seen people do that, which like it works for some people, but I've never been a big fan where it's just like red white is the aggro, like white blue is the blink deck,
Hmm.
green black is the graveyard deck. It's just very like prescriptive.
Hmm.
And that doesn't tend to always happen anyway when people are playing. Like I remember there was a cube that someone designed. It was like a Helm of Obedience. It was like, it had an emblem of Helm of Obedience where like everything was cost one less.
Hmm.
And he's like, blue red is a Spellslinger deck. I'm like, I remember looking at the decks. I'm like, so the bottleneck where you want to be is to take everything that costs one and a X. One in a blue, one in a red. So I'm just going to take all the cantrips and just like, I don't care about, just like take all the efficient stuff that costs one in a blue because it costs half the mana now.
Right.
And then just win with those. Like this isn't a Spellslinger deck. It's just a ham sandwich. And I'll just win with like a 2/2 or something and just win.
That is the most annoying Magic for me when it's just like, oh, all counters and draw, and then I'll just win with my Mishra's Factory and it's like, yay.
Yeah, I unfortunately am like, even though I was an aggro player at heart, like I still am. It's just like a lot of times I'm just like, all right, I guess I'm playing this deck where I might have to worry about decking myself. It's like, oh no, how many cards in my library? 2. Uh-oh.
This is why you need to run Felden's Cane, dog. You will never be out of cards.
I didn't know Felden's Cane was apparently printed in Foundations.
Was it reprinted? Really?
That's what somebody in a Twitch chat said that. So I'm going to take them at their word. Yeah, it was.
Hell yeah. Let's go, Carmen.
Yeah, that art is
I don't know about that art.
That art is just whatever. It looks like a stick.
It looks like a cave in a tomb or something. Or reliquary.
Yeah, I was gonna say it looks like a stick. Like it just looks like
it is a stick. It's a walking cane, right? Like it's a cane.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe I'm just so used to the original art where his like
which looks like that cool like skeleton thing. But
yeah.
It's also like one of my all-time. I mean, look, I'm Chandelure pilled and I'm old, so like Felden's Cane is just a card that speaks a lot to me. Yeah. It's a 1-drop that lets you reshuffle your graveyard and then exile Felden's Cane.
Oh yeah.
It was a big deal back when like people were millstoning you to death, right?
Yeah. And your win con was terrible. It's like, I need 20 turns to kill you with my Prodigal Sorcerer.
Look. But God, dude, I don't know. It just, there's something about that. Like, I think that's the thing is like Cube just lets you have those moments and hang on to them.
Yeah.
Like I was, but because that, okay, like you said something though that's actually really interesting to me. If you don't like the color, because like most people I know who build a cube will generally at least build their idea with this colored paired silos in terms of like, this is the archetypes I want to put together. If you're not doing that, then what are you doing? How are you putting these cards together? Are you just finding cards that have like viability with each other, or what are you doing?
Personally, the way I've tended to do it is build to the color and kind of, which sounds like very boring of me, but like in business, there's like a theory, there's an idea called a SWOT analysis, where you look at, it's a, company will look at like internally or at other companies called like, it stands for SWOT, or strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's kind of looking at what a color, I've always tended to look at colors and like, just like, okay, what is white good at? Just like white does, like they have good aggressive creatures. They have like decent disruption-ish. Like they can deal with like stuff like, with O-rings kind of things, but they're expensive and clunky, and kind of looking at it that way and being like, okay, blue has like tempo elements that it can provide to decks. Because there's an article I did called like, about the concept of desire paths. The idea of a desire path is like, you have a road going from like point A to point B, and like people might just go like
they cut the corner.
They'll cut the corner and like put a path, and just like you'll see it like at parks and whatever. It's like people will do what they do. Like they're not going to go through a prescribed path. It's
like the idea of a UX designer basically being like, look, man, you know what the customer is going to do, so just design your product to do the thing that you know they're going to do. Yeah. And I think Rosewater talks about that too, when he's like, you know what your players are going to do, so put the fun things where the players are going to do the thing anyways, so that nobody's just having a miserable time doing the efficient thing.
Yeah, or just like sometimes it's just like when it when I see sometimes that prescriptive kind of stuff where it's just like black white is the control deck or something, it's just like, but people just look and find whatever stuff to do, like,
Yeah.
and it's like sometimes you'll see that happen. It's kind of can be frustrating for like the designer because it's like they're not doing what I want them to do. But on the other hand, it's like, why does that matter? Like,
Right.
the way I've always seen it is like, as long as, and I kind of feel this way about like draft environments or, just like constructed environments as well. It's just like, if you have your macros good, like if you have a format, like a constructed format where it's like one archetype is way better than the others, it's like, that's not a good format. That's terrible. Like, it's just like white blue is by far the best deck. I'm like, this is not, I'm like, I'm not drafting this format anymore. Like, I was like, I got better things to do. I can look at cats. These people not know I can just go on my phone and look at cats all
like,
day.
I don't know. I just, it's the discovery is a joy, right? Like just being like stumbling into like it's cool once in a while to have 2-card synergies and be like, oh, look, I got to brain freeze and, breach, right? Like, or whatever. And like, it's cool. You got it to work. It's awesome. But I like stumbling onto things and being like, oh man, you know what? Channel plus mere battlesphere is actually insane. It's like it's not the most effective use of channel, but it still wins you the game. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just love that stuff.
I kind of feel like sometimes that kind of stuff happens in Cube too, where it's like you kind of find these accidental things like that Springheart Nantuko.
Oh god,
and,
I love that.
That and was it Nissa who shakes the world, the one that doubles your green mana?
Yeah.
Like they go infinite. Like, you get one. If it's assuming it's bestowed, just like you get that, you get double green, you make another one, you just go infinite. And it's like, huh.
Yeah, Nissa who shakes the world is the one who you tap a forest for mana, you get basically an additional green.
Yeah.
So
wait, so they go. So you can, when a land comes into play, you spend, assuming it's bestowing a forest.
Yes.
You get that.
Oh yeah, because you first have to animate the forest and then you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Nissa lets you animate a forest by putting like 3/1 counters on it. So then you bestow Nantuko on it. So every time a land comes into play, you get another land. But wait, what?
Then you can pay. Then you can pay 2 green mana to make a copy of it to get another land, and you can tap that land and get 2 mana for another land.
And then you just have like,
yeah.
And so as long as you have something that says like does it damage every time. I mean, just don't put like
just like
or something.
Or just like crack a fetch land at the end of turn. It's like, all right, deal with this, or you're dead, or just like EOT do this and you die. Like,
but also that's so funny because then people are just looking at you like you have 350 animated land. What or no, like one animated land and just 300 forests. It's like yeah, and next turn I'm going to just like animate like living land and Craterhoof or something.
Yeah, well, I think they're 1/1s anyway. I think I'm trying to think of how they work.
Whatever, that somebody can go and figure that one out.
I was going to say something else can figure that out.
Yeah, somebody can think about that. One of the things though, I wanted to ask you because lately it feels like there's a lot of designs that Wizards have been doing that feel like they were made specifically for cubing.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like we all know they designed for Eternal formats and then they started designing for Commander, and now it feels like they're just starting to design cards like this would be a really sick cube card.
Yeah,
and as a cube designer, like half of the fun is going and finding crap. So what do you think of when they put things like Fantastic Car or whatever that just feel like, oh, this was made for a cube?
Like I always think it's sweet. Like I'm just used to like when sets would come out before like Born of the Gods, I had like 2 cards. It's like, hey, I got 2 new cards. Sweet. Because like the rest of us just garbage. I'm like, okay. And maybe I'm just like used to it and just like, back in my day, because that's just something I tend to think about. It's just like the idea of like back in my day, we had to walk in the snow up both hills. But it's like, also it's like, isn't it just so much cooler that you don't have to do that now?
When I was growing up in Massachusetts, I lived on a hill and there was a valley that went down and there was a highway and then there was a valley that went up and my school was literally on the other side. And so in the winter, I literally did have to walk uphill in the snow both ways. It sucked.
Yeah, that sounds terrible.
Do not recommend.
Yeah. But I always find that kind of thing cool. Like, I don't know, like, it's kind of like, like hobbies, like, getting popular, just like when I was, growing up, like metal wasn't cool. and like now it's just so much easier to find new stuff, like, you know, video games, like when I was like, you know, getting more into gaming like in my early 20s, like, you know, you might as well have been a leper, you know, just like, you know, in the GameCube era or whatever. It's just like you're just like, and now it's just so much it's I don't know, like I always think that kind of stuff is so cool. It's like, okay, now I can just like find people, like, you know, we're getting cards created, like was that Formidable Speaker, like
Yes.
Jean-Emmanuel Depraz won the, I guess,
Yeah, he was on the
Invitational.
show and we talked about it.
Yeah, and it was just like the only time I played him, by the way, was when I played Alchemy. Like I used to be a big Alchemy grinder. The only time I played, I know, I'm the one in the
I
few.
literally never heard anybody say that before.
Yep, there was somebody. There's like a few Alchemy grinders back in the day that I would recognize. One of them was named Chimera Flint, which is a reference to Mother 3. And I remember, like, because there's no chat, like you can't chat in Arena. But I was like, man, if I could tell this person they have a cool username, but like I feel like I'd always see them in the trenches. But yeah, I used to play a lot of Alchemy. But like I remember I played, I think his arena name was like J something Rock, like JE Rock or something, JI Rock or something. I'm like, is that Jean-Emmanuel Depraz? And I looked him up. It's like, uh-oh, yep, it is. And I beat him. I was like, yeah. But yeah, it's just like he said he designed it for Cube, and I'm just like, yeah, that makes sense, because you can like untap your Guy's Cradle in your Time Walk, and like I don't have either of those cards in my Cube because I'm like on, you know, Legacy. You know, I don't really have Fast Man. I don't have like,
you know what? I'll be honest. I think having like Time Vault in, wait, no, you said Time Walk?
Time Vault, but I don't have Time Walk either.
I don't think Time Vault. I think Time Vault in Cube is really boring. Like
it's strange because it can either be like, so like when they introduced it to the Magic Online Cube, they put in like all of the enablers to make it work. They were just like, you know, go big or go home. So let's put in all the enablers.
Here's all the keys you've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's like the issue is just like you see a card like Voltaic Key, and it's just like the card's trash outside of, you know, just like Time Vault. It's just like, so you could probably spec on it, and then just like, you know, if you get like Time Vault, you'll probably get all the enablers you want. And that's always an interesting thing in Cube design too, is just like being realistic about like what cards you take, you know, what cards come early. And that's another thing, like 17 lands, like that whole thing is just like, what card, when is you know, Caracas taken? You know, you can look it up now. It's just like, and before, like we, you know, back when, you know, 2010s, you know, we didn't really have that information, and now it's just so much cooler that we do have that information. And it may not be apples to apples because, like, you know, I'm not playing Caracas in my Cube, but it's just like being able to. For what
it's worth, it's generally the second pick is the last time you'll see it.
Wow, yeah, that makes sense.
2.33 average last seen. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah,
but that card is also, especially now that every card's a friggin' legend, Caracas is utterly broken.
Yeah.
I mean, it was broken before, but now it's insane.
Yeah. I remember before it was like you could do like vents or loops, and it's just like now you can just like Rishodon port all their mana. Yeah, it's like, right. I'll play this. It's like, cool. I'll just bounce it back, get wrecked.
It's so stupid. I hate that. I mean, look, I love Caracas, but I also hate Caracas.
Yeah.
Like, it just, screw that card.
It's a silly card.
I was thinking of, what the hell was I thinking of? Yeah, but like, it's cool that like, I don't know. I guess it's neat to see cards like Oracle of the Alpha show up, or like just weirdo fun cards showing up in Cube. And like, I think my favorite thing is when people start putting conspiracies and stuff in Cube, because I think those cards rule.
Yeah, they're almost all of them are unfortunately like super broken.
Yes,
like,
they are.
They're just like broken. So they're like easy pick one. Like sometimes people don't know, and this is like, you know, you see a power play pack 3 and like it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's so busted. Like, or like Cogwork Librarian, one of the great Cube cards.
Yeah, I'm a big, that's like another card that was kind of, Conspiracy was kind of designed for Cube. Mm-hmm. And I think like there was such like, you know, from the Vault 20, that was like, it was like a not really Cube, but I think like Gavin mentioned the Cube several times. It was like a wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
It was 100%. I want to print cool cards for Cube, which is why Findhorn Elves got a new artwork. Yeah, because that card's old art sucked, and the new art is awesome.
Like Tangle. I remember. I think I still rock the Tangle Wire from that FTV 20 in my Cube, because
nobody should rock a Tangle Wire. That card, that card's a lot. But yeah, like I don't know. It's just there's so much like joy in being able to personalize and tinker your Cube and just find the fun, cool cards. You don't just need to be like, oops, all good stuff. Even though, but to be fair, oops, all good stuff is hella fun, and that's part of the joy of Cube, is being like, yeah, I can play with Moxes. Like I want to play with Moxes. Their rule. I love that. Like especially this time around, Arena Cube took off the limiter that said like you can only have one Mox per pack or whatever. Because I opened a pack which was literally 3 pieces of power, and I was like, "What do you want me to do?"
Yeah. All right, roll the D20.
Yeah, it's like let's go. It's so good. But like I've been throwing around this idea of a cube I want to build for a long time, which was like based on these general ideas in like enemy colored idea of like white black life gain, black green like sapperlings and Hapatra stuff, like using the old Dominaria archetype, green blue sea monsters, blue red dragons and Jin, kind of just like big flyy boxes, and then red white like tokens. And I was like, that would be hella fun. And like, because it's not too prescriptive, they're just kind of big blocks, and you can fill in the rest, and people can find synergies in the other silos or arcs or whatever they want to. But like when you're building a cube for like I remember I was talking to some WotC designers who were working on like the master sets, and they were like, yeah, it's basically building a cube. Like each of those old master sets were effectively cubes for that era. Like there was a one that they did, which was the 3-colored one. Not Modern Masters, not what the hell was it? I don't know. It was one of the third master, maybe the Modern Masters 2. I don't know. Okay. But it was basically made for like it had all of the like tri-lands and crap in it, and it was made for like Alara based stuff. But like I think the best cube that Wizards ever made was the iconic Masters limited set that they put out, which had like no good like chase cards in it, but was just like a bunch of really great value cards and individual combos and stuff. And it's the closest they've ever come out to putting an actual just cube out straight up. And nobody bought it, and now the boxes are hella expensive, and I'm sad because it's like my favorite way to. It's one of like the most fun things to do. But like, so walk me through like if you were going to start building a cube, like why would you? Do you choose to put power in it anymore, or are you just over that now?
I think I'm just kind of over it now. Like I feel like my main cube, like part of it was kind of practicality. Like whenever I would, just like if I'm trying new cards out, because like one of the things I'll always do in my articles is like spotlight the 3-0 decks and like just note those as like data points. Like obviously if a card ends up in a 3-0 list, it's not like a busted card or anything, but it's like it gives people an example of what works. And I just remember seeing like stuff like that, like just like okay, a lot of these decks would have a Mox or something, and just like also just kind of sometimes when I would not be the active player, if we have like 5 people drafting, I would just be the buy and just watch, just so I can try to get more eyeballs on stuff. And just like sometimes just seeing like non-games happen was an issue. I'm just like I don't personally like these non-games, and it's like it's just like also just kind of muddy the waters in terms of just like evaluating cards. It's like I just wanted to eliminate that from there and just like get better information about what was working and what wasn't.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of value in like if you watch people playing and you realize nobody's having a good time, then you're like, okay, these cards need to go. Like this is just not working for the cube. It's either like if everybody's winning when they pull this, or if like it's the last pick, or if they're like, I think the thing that just always makes me sad in a cube is when you've been given a promise that this archetype or this idea is a workable idea, and then you try to do it and you just get shellacked, and it's like, why are these cards in here if the payoff is not going to be there? And it's like, you put 600 cards in this cube or whatever, you can find something else.
Yeah, I've had a lot, at least I've had experiences. Like I remember there was somebody who had a pauper cube locally. It was around the time when I was starting to start writing, and just like aggressive decks were just not doing anything. They were just like constantly getting like outclassed by like, Sprout Swarm and Capsize and Flood, like, but they just weren't really supported very well. And I remember being like trying to do it in there. It just wasn't, I was just like, I'm a test. Nothing's on the line, so who cares? But it was just like still just not a good experience, because it's like, here, this thing is for you to try out. And it sucks. It's like, here's this at the buffet or something. It's like, here's this here's a shrimp cocktail and it tastes terrible. It's like,
yeah, right.
It's like, well, this is terrible. Like, why did I do?
Yeah, it's like I still used my time on this, right? Like,
yeah.
But what do you think of the fact that like LSV, for instance, posts like cube videos every day? Because I know for me personally, it has been a great like teaching tool in learning how to use or play weirdo combos, like learning how to storm off or do the breach combo or do specific things in Cube and learning how to archetypes and stuff work.
Yeah.
And having like one of the best players literally of all time just sitting there grinding all day and showing you like, this is what happens if you play these garbage cards together. It's like, here, have fun.
Yeah, it's like, whoa. I think that's cool. Like, I'm so glad that it kind of broke containment Cube. I feel like for a while it was just like, and I think it was a lot of times because we used to be on Twitter, and I think we had talked a decent amount in terms of just like being in each other's sphere of being fellow brown people playing Magic. So there's not many of us out there, but like it felt like it took some time for it to breach containment in terms of it. I think the first major thing was Magic Online. Just because like I said, when I introduced Cube to people, like they would have no idea what I was talking about, and I'd have to fight that fight again and again. It's just like, what's Cube? It's like, oh, it's like a compilation of cards, and it's like most of the time it would just not work out. I remember having to drive like several hours to Grand Prix to be able to Cube, and yeah, that sucked. That was terrible. Like, and it was just like having to do it for several hours, just like one way. Each, it was terrible. Like, and you don't really have to do that now, thankfully. But I feel like the Magic Online Cube definitely helped with like first breaching containment. I think Arena definitely like took it to another level.
Oh yeah, like because everybody had heard of Magic Online Cubes and maybe seen one or two in person, but like for the most part, like you would watch like periodically streamers would be like, oh, it's Christmas time, it's time to do the vintage cube on, and we would watch it and understand it. But then Arena bringing it to literally everybody was suddenly like, holy crap, I can sit and do the things I've read about or watched about. And it's because the hardest thing about Cube, the most inhospitable thing, is that it does require a lot of players, right? Like, and it's hard to get people to sit down and be like, we're going to, sit down and draft for an hour and then we're going to play a couple of rounds. And it's like, that's a big ask, especially for like getting 8 people together. Getting 4 for Commander is hard enough.
I mean, getting 4 for Cube is hard enough. It's always right? Like, it was just always like, for a while it was pretty bad. I remember that was before when we did it at a store one time. Remember, it was like this kind of like weird standoff where it's just like we had 3 people and like we needed a 4th, and there was a Modern event going on at the store and they had 7. So it's like they needed somebody and we needed somebody.
Oh God.
Yeah. So it was just this awkward standoff where it's just like, all right, well, nobody's getting what they want. So it's like, I think eventually, like, I think somebody at the store just like went to be the 8th person because it was an event at the store. But yeah, I think personally for me, just because I'm cheap and I'm a free to play player on Arena, like one of the things that I really like about Arena is like, if you scrub out and you're just like, all right, and I don't want to put more money back in, just like grind dailies for like a week or something. And it's like, all right, I'm back. I'll do another draft. And it's like, whereas like if on Arena, on like Moto, it's like you do that, you're done. It's like, all right, hooray! I can sell some bulk to GoatBot or something and get like 3 cents. Yeah.
I don't know, man. Whatever. I'm just glad that we can cube more often, more regularly, and it's like it's a good way to use that like 2-week span between sets.
Yeah.
It is funny though, like you mentioned the fact that like, because like normally these episodes I would go into like a bio of you or whatever, but we forgot to do that entirely. But I will say that the fact that both of us are Daisies, and like I remember what he came to us with we all got together and we were the panel of brown people for we're going back to Kaladesh. What do you think? And
I don't know if I got that. I don't know if I was cool enough for it at the time.
Weren't you there for that first one? No. Like for the Aether Drift meeting?
No.
Where we sat and we told them?
No.
I thought you were. I could have sworn.
No, that was not cool enough.
Oh, man.
I heard they got like a bunch of panelists or something.
I got like 3 of us and we sat and we explain to them why this is not a good idea.
Yeah.
And like why maybe we need to change names here.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
I was going to say, I'll take the W when we can.
Yeah. Right. Like, you know what? It doesn't matter. It was a good time.
It's kind of funny. Like in terms of representation, it's kind of weird. Like, when I was younger, there was being an avid gamer, just like there was a game on the NES called Magic of Scheherazade.
Yeah.
I don't know and I remember thinking like, he's like some dude in a turban or something, and I was like thinking like, and the game itself was just really weird. It was like Zelda meets JRPG. Like you'd have like an overworld, and all of a sudden you just walk to the next screen. It's like, oh, JRPG battles. Like what? What's going on here? Like,
Oh man.
and it's
Oh
like,
yeah, it was me and Zame.
Oh yeah, okay.
The other Indian.
Yeah, I was gonna say we got all three of us. I guess there's the mill guy.
We would have just poor Doug would have just gotten ripped to pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good time though, because like it was, I don't know, I just being able to have some impact on the game is pretty great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, but you've been writing and talking about Cube forever, and I love that you started up doing it again. And I think, because I think you've got such a wealth of knowledge of how this format works that really a lot of people don't. And like Tom Lapilli is too busy doing Riftbound stuff now to write about Cube anymore, and all the old Cube writers don't, except for what's his name from Minnesota. Ryan, yeah, he's awesome. I love him. Overturf,
Ryan Overturf.
He talks about Cube all the time, and you talk about Cube all the time. So I'm like, I want you to keep going, because we need to have people because I don't want to have to reinvent all this stuff from scratch, right?
It's like how they say like the internet is forever.
Yeah,
but it's like, I've been trying to find episodes of my early podcast, The Third Power. It's like we were the first Cube podcast, like back in 2011.
Jesus.
Again, back when nobody else cared. And it's like, I've been trying to get episodes, but it's like essentially there's just one person who would be able to do it, and it's like, hey, I have to do it through somebody else to ping somebody else. But it's like the episodes aren't online. It's like trying to find these old Cube articles. Like I've been trying to find like the original MTG Ontario Cube list, and it's like, it's in a forum, it's dead. Like, good luck trying to, like, if you try to go on an archive.org thing.
You need to have very specific, because archive.org for forums is such a nightmare. I was trying to find out like old ban rulings from Commander, and it's like, they're all on old Salvation forums that aren't there anymore. Well, GG's.
I feel like Salvation's probably fine, but like...
Well, no, but I mean, whatever. They were on old, EDH pre-Commander websites or something. Who knows?
PHP BB engine.
Exactly that. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's just like, good luck. You ain't
it's like those things were bad in the first place, let alone now.
Yeah, so you ain't finding anything. But it's just like trying to find like old stuff, and it's like a part of it too is just like trying to archive that stuff, because like sometimes people will make assumptions like... And I think it's probably just basing their information, because I feel like a lot of the stuff I wrote, back in the day was always with like a long-term lens. I didn't want to be like, oh, in this time, XYZ. And now I'm kind of like looking back at like the articles I wrote back then. I'm just like, it's one of those things I want to do, is like look back at some of the articles I wrote and like look at it, 15 years in the past, future. And it's just like, like this, like the SWAT thing I think I wrote about for Quiet Spec, like I think around like 2011, 2012. And it's still useful. Yeah, Quiet Speculation. Yeah, I remember. Dude. Yeah, Adam got me a rating there because they wanted front page stuff, and I'm like, all right, sure, I'll do it. But it's just like I still use that information because it's still useful. It's like, okay, it's strengths, opportunity, weaknesses, opportunities. Like if I look at black or something, it's like black, their aggressive creatures are bad, but like they're good at disruption. Like just like that stuff. Just like red. Whatever one drops, or just like just like looking at that, just like the information that you do is just looking at categorization, just stuff like that I've written before. It's like, this stuff still applies. And like that's another thing that's annoying sometimes, is people are just like, oh, this was written like 5 years ago, so it's useless. It's like, no, like, are you an iPad kid or something? Like you can't glean context or something.
All right, let's wrap up with rapid fire. What are your favorite cards to put in a cube?
So my favorite, probably, it depends, but I would say Heirloom Blade is probably like my pet card.
Heirloom Blade?
Heirloom Blade. Like, it's funny. Like, so my story with Heirloom Blade is like, so for those playing along, it's a 3-mana equipment. equipped creature gets +3/+1. When equipped creature dies, you may reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card that has the same creature type, and then put the rest on bottom. Equip costs 1. So the reason that card stuck out for me was like when I saw it originally in Commander 2017, I was like, this card seems good. Like it seems like a good card, and it's like a lot of comparisons were to like Grafted War Gear. It's like, nah, it's a bad Grafted War Gear was like the common talking point. I just remember looking at like old deck lists that I had. I'm like, let's see how this works. It's like, okay, so there's like 10 creatures that match. So like, yeah, there's like a typal mesh that would work. I'm like, okay, look more decks. I'm like, yep. Okay, this should work. And then tried it in my cube. I was like, this card bangs. This card's great. It's doing work. And it was one of those cards I actually wrote an article about, like, lessons that card taught me. Because like people can tend to think in terms of just like kind of preconceived patterns, or it's like, yeah, this card looks like a bad typal card, but it's like, no, this card's actually quite good. And I think it's just also just a good equipment that's just not like overpowered or anything.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. It's like it was a really good commander card, and it's a really I love using cards that are just like I was tossing around an idea of like, what if there was a cube made up of cards that are like basically only good and usable in cube, or like limited bombs or things like that just like would never show up anywhere else. And I think that would be a hell of a fun cube idea to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly what cube used to be. Like, Kumano, Mastering Yamabushi,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Arc Slogger, and they're just like cards that were mainly just limited bombs.
Yeah. What's your least favorite thing to see in a cube?
I don't know. Like, man, that's hard. This is like the worst rapid fire answer because I don't know. Like, if I was to look at it and see, like, I don't know, like, sometimes I look at, okay, I do have an actual answer. If I was to look at a Cube Cobra primer and it's like way too long, that usually is something I don't like. Like, if I look at it and it's just like, sometimes I feel like if there's too much information, a lot of it is just overly aspirational and it's not really useful.
It's 100% that, because there's so many times when, like, because the thing is like, oh, look, it's my first cube, so I'm going to sit and write like a whole essay about my philosophy and theology, and you look at it and you're like, you're talking about 2 cards, man. This is like a cube of like, okay, I've been taking 600 the whole time. How many cards are in a cube?
It can depend. Like, I feel like
540.
There's a lot of, so like, yeah, we'll say 5. It's like, I feel like a lot of cubes have kind of, it's one of those few bits of dogma that sticks around, is like, packs of 15. So like, this cube has to be 360 cards, and it's like, you can't go higher unless it's like 375, and then they don't. So it's like, but yeah, so like, I feel like a lot of times these overly aspirational primers are just not useful for me.
Yeah, because like the thing is, they're only talking about like 2 cards or something, and then like those 2 cards are never going to show up in the same time and be drafted at the same time. Maybe once in 100 drafts you're going to see these together. So like, let's chill. Right?
Yeah, or it's just like, this deck is I guess it goes back to the thing about this deck is the whatever, and this is like, sometimes it just doesn't happen. It's just like, man, this is not like, this is what you think. This probably isn't it. And I'm just like kind of glaze over. It's just like scroll. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to blind. I'll just draft.
All right. Yeah. So if you sit down to a cube you've never seen before and you open up a first hand of cards, how do you just like, because like sometimes when it's a power cube, I generally know what I'm doing, or I can look at a vintage cube and figure it out. But when somebody's got like a random like cube, how do you know what to do when you're going in blind and don't know what the theme is?
Usually if I'm going in blind, like I'll look at the context of just like whatever else is in the pack and like either take the mana fixing or the power outlier. That's generally what I'll do for my first, like, unless there's a good reason to do otherwise, I'll just go with those 2 and just like figure it out later.
That's fair.
It's like, sometimes it's just like the best strategy. It used to be like a worse thing in cubes where it's just like, that was the best deck. It's just like, take a land. I
mean, honestly, when I first started doing cubes, I was like, I'm just going to draft all the mana because I don't know what all the rest of these cards do. And as long as if I get a good enough base, then I can just play whatever I want later. And I end up with like, the sickest green deck you've ever seen. And it's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Like really in a cube, you can't go wrong just drafting like a fetch land first, or even a dual land. Just, what's your favorite non alpha duels to put into a cube? Like your favorite dual cycle?
These don't count, so I'll give you an answer. If these don't count, the landscape cycle from MH3.
The one that go for 3 or cycle?
Yeah. Like
Those are
I've
great.
yeah, they've just done so much like quiet, like heavy lifting for like landfall strategies, but they're also just really good in general. Like they're a good example of just like like another set of fetch lands, because like some people have multiples of cards like fetch lands, some don't, and it's just like a personal thing that people can do. But like those I think have been great in terms of just like like dual lands, like type duels. Like I've been a big fan of the surveil lands, and that was like I thought those were going to be terrible, and they just impressed
They're
me
some
so
of the
much.
greatest lands they've ever printed is what they are.
Yeah. And
I
like,
wish they had made scry lands that were fetchable, because it like annoys me that it's always just surveil land, but whatever.
yeah. Whenever I'm playing Brawl, it's just like, what am I cracking for? Okay, what's the one red, blue, surveil land? Let's go. You know, because like I play Kefka because I'm not creative. I'm just like Kefka value pile.
What cube? What theme do you want to see that you haven't seen somebody do yet?
I would say probably more playing with like, so I have this idea for a cube that's like called like the roguelike cube. It's supposed to be based on like a roguelike, where it's like the idea is like on the front, you have like cards that say like this card is a creature that's like mana value 3, and you don't know what it is until after the draft, and you flip it over and you find the card that's on the back. And it's like, okay.
Hell yes, let's go.
Yeah, I tried it at CubeCon and I was pretty impressed with how it went, but I just had so many piles of cards and I was trying to figure out like what to do with it. It just was like Magic players, just like stacks of it was like that to the 10th degree.
It sounds like Momir Vig, but like, yeah. Oh god, man, that sounds awesome.
The idea was for it to be Momir Vig, but kind of more curated. Just like, because it's like, oh, I roll the dice and I get a 6 mana 4/4. It's like this, just whatever. Or I could get a Inferno Titan. It's like just like the wide swings of variance or thing. Like I wanted to try to curate to something like that, but I wish like I would see cubes doing more of that kind of stuff, where it's just like stuff to do like vouchers of drafts or something, where it's like you get a wild card that you could change this up for another multiple of a card or something. Like
man,
you could
like Cogwork Librarian style.
Yeah, just like stuff like that, where it's like I feel like we're still kind of stuck in the 14 or 15 card spaces, but not playing around with that kind of stuff. And I think there's just a lot of room with that. Like there's a friend has a cube called the Ball Pit, where it's like every card is a chromatic sphere on the backside, and you don't have you draft I think 45 cards, but you don't get deck building. You just draft. So every card can be cycled or something. I forget how the mana works.
I've seen that. I've seen that one before.
Yeah,
and it's just like I don't know.
Yeah, but just like I just wish there was more just like playing around with that kind of stuff. I would say, which is working in that space, and I feel like that's been unexplored.
That would be pretty rad.
Yeah.
All right, dude. Well, if folks wanted to find your stuff, where could they go?
They can find me at usmantherad.com. It's my site where I've moved everything over so it looks all neat and stuff. I was sick of the Substack where everything looks the same, and I'm not really a big fan of how,
Substack generally.
Yeah, that too. And just like that kind of stuff. I was like, I'm just going to move everything over. So I did that, but that's the best place to reach me. But I guess there's no great way to reach me there. Because I'm thinking about like you can find my stuff there, but you can't reach me. Best place to reach me is Blue Sky.
Blue Sky.
Right. Yeah, just like look up Usman Rad at Blue Sky, and then you find me there, and I can send the link to put that in the show notes too.
People can listen and figure it out. Anyways, my friends, as always, you can find me on Blue Sky at Shivam Bhatt. You can find this podcast anywhere podcasts are sold. Or on YouTube every Tuesday, thanks to my editor, Dan. And you can also hear me on Shivam and Wheeler Love Magic or the Chronicles of Dragonlance podcast. And remember, my friends, it's not magic without the gathering, and we'll see you next time.